all right, we're going to do a TexAgs rewind with some friends here. Kay's going to be involved. Nick's going to be involved. I'm going to ask you guys because Bronny made me feel like I was going to bring you chips to your table. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I didn't dress to be, what did he say? Bring you your tapas?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that and something about a banker.
Well, I said the banker because
Okay.
I can go with banker.
Yeah.
So if you guys were to
vibes.
pick, so for those who can't see, I'm wearing a striped white collar blue.
Why wouldn't they be able to see? This is a YouTube video.
Well, Nick, let me explain to you because I'm looking at the screen right now. You can't see the stripes.
Okay.
That's
Fair
why.
enough.
Can you see the stripes from where you're at?
Barely.
No, you can't.
I can.
No. Well, you have really good HD. All right. So I say that. Do you all think that this looks like the, what do you call it again? Tapas guy?
Yeah.
Or the banker? Or what would you call it? And I'd like the people who are watching to tell us what they think it looks like because there's a reason I dressed like this today.
I like it, David. I think
I'm
you
not
should wear it
asking
again.
for approval. I'm just saying, what does it look like?
They're gonna let us know.
No, I want you to tell me.
Oh, I went with banker. I like the banker thing.
Look?
I think it's the different color collar.
Yeah, banker. Okay. Nick, what do you think?
Like an Italian, mobster. I'll go with
That too.
I like
Yeah.
that one. I
I'll
do
go
like
with
that
that.
one. Hey, you want to play with me?
I'm gonna wind up in the bottom of
You
the
gotta
river.
unbutton a button for that though.
Oh,
Oh God.
here we go. Here we go. There's Nightclub Nuno.
Nice.
Hey, Night of the Roxbury here on TexAgs Rewind. By the way, when I have a button, I feel like the guy from Office Space, the boss. But you guys probably haven't seen Office Space. All right, on the show. Have you seen Office Space?
No.
Oh, you're missing out, Nick.
No.
Oh my gosh. Case of the Mondays. All right, Devon Achane to the NFL draft. We're sad. We're happy. It's both. We talked about it. Aggie basketball. Logan Lee. Kind of confused where we are because it's very early in the season, yet I'm thinking about March, and you'll know why when you listen to that. A&M recruiting. We had Bronny in here. It could be called transfer portal and recruiting talk because Bronny talked about it all. Billy did join us on that. And Peter Burns, the SEC Network. He's our friend. He talks a lot, and he gave A&M some props after beating LSU a couple weeks back. We hadn't talked since then, so we had him on the show. Great young man. And I wouldn't say I know him, but I've gotten to know him doing these stacked interviews this year. And just always very kind, answer any question. And he's a teammate first. And look, it tells you how good he is when last year, when I think Isaiah Spiller's pretty darn good too, right? Like, obviously. But at the end of the year, I wanted him to get more carries than Isaiah.
Isaiah Spiller, he's an NFL back, and I think he'll get more and more work as as his career goes on. I think he's going to have a successful career. And I can remember Gabe and I going to the Orange Bowl. We were talking about Spiller, and I said, I think Achane's better. And that's not a knock on Spiller.
Yeah.
I just think Achane's better. And then he, I think Isaiah got hurt in that game, and Achane came in and had a big game. And then last year he would have had 1,000 yards as a backup to Spiller had A&M been able to play in the Wake Forest in the bowl game. And then this year, I still believe he would have made a run at 2,000 with adequate blocking. And of course, what do you have? 1,100 and missed 2 games, including what should have been a stat game against UMass.
Yep.
And boy, if there was ever any question of what he meant to the offense, was that not answered at Auburn?
He is a tougher running back than I thought. And I thought he was tough. And Jimbo would say it in press conferences. This guy is really good between the tackles. Because in my mind, I resort back. It's like I think this happens with certain types of quarterbacks and wide receivers. You think of them in a certain way just because of their size potentially. And I thought of him as just a speed guy. But what I learned this year was between the tackles, he is tough. And he also can change direction and make you look like a fool in an instant.
Oh, he did a lot of that against LSU, right?
Yeah, he did.
So just a remarkable player. I remember the first time outside in the lobby when Ryan Bruaninger said, "Hey, come here and let me show you some video of this kid that the Aggies are recruiting." And he might have still been just a junior at Fort Bend Marshall.
Yep.
And I remember thinking, that's got to be the top priority right there. And then you heard that, other teams are on it, but I guess everybody's making such a big deal over Zach Evans. That guy's better than Zach Evans.
He is better than Zach Evans.
He's better than a whole lot of people.
There was a chance you could have had both of them, though.
I just wish that the Aggies would have him for one more year. I would have put in my $50 to the collective.
Yep. But what about how they start? Is it because it is all about chemistry and each other that's why sometimes there isn't that same kind of start?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think we can say that this year because they had a good group of core guys coming back. Everybody except Q, basically, that was contributing came back, and so they should be rolling right now because you have that group of core key ingredients from last season, and then you add really good transfers, the guys that you want. I mean, these are the guys that they went after. It's not like these guys were picked up at the 12th hour, right before signing period, and said, okay, I'm glad we got them. We finally got somebody. They went out and got these guys, and so they got the pieces that they wanted. So no, it shouldn't be like this right now, in my opinion. I don't know everything that's going on in the locker room and boot camp and all that, but in my opinion, they should be better than what they are right now. However, we go back to every single year. Buzz's teams get better as the season goes. They continue to grow. They continue to develop. They continue to increase their stock. It's just we don't want them to have to dig out of a hole of what they did in the beginning to then put it in the selection committee's hands of saying either they do or they don't go in. It should be, yeah, these guys dominated non-conference. They did a great job in conference, and now they're a tournament team. But that's not where we're at right now. However, Buzz hasn't lost anywhere he's gone. And I hate to continue to harp on that because I know we said it last year. We said it the year before. I've said it on multiple occasions this year. But there isn't a track record of him losing. And so we've got to believe that at some point this team is going to kick it in gear and they're going to continue to get better and they're going to make the tournament. I still think that they are a tournament team. I think this is a team that now I don't think that my positivity isn't on the same level. After a handful of games, I was thinking, this could be a second weekend team. Right now, I think they're a tournament team. We're going to continue to see if they can grow and develop into more than just hey, they made the dance.
Talking to Logan Lee here. Logan, I know we'll have you tomorrow with TAP, but I do want to ask you about the defensive issues, which aren't intensity, aren't hustle. It's almost understanding space and area. Is that a fair way to put it?
I'm a little flabbergasted on the defense.
This place can always get really good players and recruit well because your head coach is a really, really good closer. I mean, that's what Jimbo does. He's done it since he's been in College Station. He's built a reputation throughout his through his coaching career of being an elite recruiter and elite closer at the end of recruiting cycles. And so he's still got that in his bag, right? So going into these final few weeks, don't sleep on A&M's ability to close. I know it don't look great now, and it may not be looking great, but you do have a shot because Jimbo's going to start going to sit out in high schools and in homes with these kids.
I think it's so interesting that I don't know if a month ago, if you would have said that exact statement, we would have believed it. It almost took I put a lot of weight on this LSU game, but I almost feel like they changed a little bit of the perception.
It was juice, man. You had to have it, and it's just anything to grab onto going into the recruiting cycle, and the home stretch here, and that's what they've done. And credit to the coaching staff and even the graphics team and stuff like that. And we talked about it a little bit last week, how you're starting to see a bunch of freshmen on all these graphics and videos that are being put out. So we are watching intently what's happening. My phone on Monday was ridiculous. Right. It was trying to check in with tons of transfers, high school kids, and that's the way it's going to be. And that's part of the job, man. You're the middle of December, whenever you're covering multiple high school playoff games, and now you're going to be covering transfer portal and the close of the high school class. It's going to be really, really busy.
So explain this to me, because in my opinion, it's got to be a hard discussion with these transfers, right? That if you're A&M, yeah, you are looking for starters, but you're also looking for depth, right? Because you're losing depth, and that's part of the role. But I would assume most people going into the transfer portal are looking to not be depth somewhere else, get a bigger role at another
Depends
school.
on where they're coming from, right?
Right.
What if they're an FCS kid? What if they're a grad transfer? You know, I see stuff that's tweeted by a lot of different people that is so matter of fact, and everything is, it's this way. You can't compete at this school, so that's why you're leaving. Well, all these things are circumstantial, and circumstances are circumstantial, right? Like that's an old Pat McAfee line that he always says. But really, like, you don't know the ins and outs of why every kid is leaving. So what their motivation is to leave and what they're looking for at their next stop, it could be completely different. But there are certainly situations where A&M's going to go and probably take a kid from a lower level that can be a starter. And then they may go take a guy from another Power 5 school that slots in as, you know, a depth guy, you know, a backup somewhere. But a really important role for this team. And this roster doesn't need an overhaul, man. It's really talented. It's really, really talented. So you've got to be really smart when you're going into the portal, picking and choosing what the roster needs. The high school recruiting is your pipeline. That's how you continue to have elite talent on your roster. The portal is to supplement the areas where you may have missed on some guys out of high school, or you had attrition due to injury, or you had guys leave, or you have guys leaving early for the NFL.
Good morning. Although I got to be honest with you, I'm still a little salty about Texas A&M. You guys ruined my entire week over the SEC championship game. There I am, an LSU fan, looking all excited. You know, they're going to play for a possible college football playoff berth. And sure enough, you Aggies had to ruin it. Thanks a lot, David. Appreciate it.
Well, you know, I'm going to take great pride in that, because you guys ruined what could have been a 9-3 season last year when Damani Richardson stripped the ball and Max Johnson went ham on A&M last year. But so, you know, now we're even.
No. This was whole worse. This is so much more worse, because not only did you kind of ruin it for LSU fans, like you ruined it for like all the CBS television executives, because then like not as many people tuned in. Like this is what happened. I mean, all joking aside, holy hell. I mean, Devon Achane in that game was absolutely unbelievable, and it goes to show you, man, like it is hard to win in the SEC, especially night games on the road. Zero doubt about it.
Yeah, man. You know what? Look, obviously that was a hard one for LSU, but for A&M, as bad as this season has been, and we're talking months of bad, it at least gave a little hope and optimism to the future, playing such a quality opponent and doing what they were able to do in a year that felt like there was no hope.
Well, you go back in the year prior, right? When all of a sudden, you know, Calzada and A&M all of a sudden shocks everybody and they beat Alabama, right? Like you have to have, if you're going to have a disappointing year, you got to have either, you know, wins late into the year or wins against your rival. And I think that's why that win was so big. But, you know, the win just looked different, right? Like that was a weird season, there's no doubt, for Texas A&M football. But again, I mean, and maybe I'm just an A&M apologist, but I look at this and I go, there's a lot of momentum, especially after seeing what Wigman was able to do and seeing some of the young talent get an opportunity to play so much, where you look at this and go, okay, this was not a team where I think, okay, it's a complete disarray as much as like the national media might want you to think about Texas A&M football.
Talking to Peter Burns here on TexAgs Radio. Peter, it's interesting, man, because I keep saying I hope this, I hope that, because it used to be I think, but now it's more about I hope when it comes to Texas A&M. But I do hope and believe if they get the right hire at OC, it puts the rest of the SEC on notice. I think that, I hope that, I kind of believe it.
No, and I think because, listen, the thing is that do you have a fan base that cares? Yes. Do you have the stories that matter? Yes. Can you recruit? Yes. Like, and is there enough, you know, do you have an answer at quarterback? And I believe that to be yes, after what we saw with Connor over the last couple of weeks of the season when he got an opportunity and was healthy enough to play. And so the thing is that, all right, so how do you, if you've got all of these ingredients, do you have the chef that's going to make the best meal? And frankly, I think, you know, it's tough to be a GM of a restaurant and also be a chef. And I think that's what Jimbo Fisher has been trying to do, you know, and to his credit, he's been able to do it fairly well. But I think now it's come to the point where it's like, listen, being a head coach is tough. Now you need to be that CEO and let somebody else run that offense. Like, I actually really wanted to see Alex Golish, the Tennessee Volunteer OC, be in the mix over there at Texas A&M, but he just got the job at South Florida. So I'm kind of fascinated to see what direction A&M goes when they do hire an OC.
All right, let's close it out. So, yeah, did you guys comment? Does it look like a barista? Does it look like a tapas guy? Does it look like a banker? Or, hey, you want to fight with me? That wasn't Italian. What was that?
No, that wasn't bad.
No, I have like 3 accents. They're all the same.
If you put your hand up and do the little motion, I think it helps.
Hey, you want to have some spaghetti, eh? See, I'm going to get in trouble for that. I'm sorry. But like when I do the Spanish voices, do you know what I'm saying? Everything's like, whatever.
You got to act the part.
I'm going to act like the tough accountant. And thank you so much for watching TexAgs Rewind. We'll see you next time.